Alright, so as we're getting deeper into NFL free agency, the Eagles have already obviously made quite a few huge moves, but there is still one crucial move that they haven't made yet, that they have to get done as soon as possible. But why is this, and what are the chances of it actually getting done? Also, as the Eagles continue to look for free agents to fill out the rest of their roster, what's the latest on the Justin Simmons situation and his chances of ending up in Philly? Meanwhile, Jalen Hurts' knee looks fully healthy while he's training in the offseason, and the Eagles already have a bunch of their top 30 visits scheduled, and one of them is with the best inside linebacker in the entire draft class. So we're going to talk about all that and all the latest news from free agency, and we won't waste any time. Let's get straight into it. Alright, so over the weekend, the Eagles went out and made a move to add even more depth to their linebacker room, as after signing Devin just a few days prior to be one of the team's new starting linebackers, the Birds also went out and added a former 49er to the linebacker room, with Diana Rossini reporting, quote, former 49ers linebacker Oren Burks is signing a one-year deal with the Philadelphia Eagles worth up to $2.5 million per source. Burks is a special team standout who started 5 games in 2023 for San Francisco. Now, all in all, I think that this is a solid depth move. I mean, Burks is not a guy that the Eagles should be relying on to start at linebacker, and rightfully so. That's not going to be his role heading into the year, but he is a guy that was a standout on special teams, like Rossini said, in his time with the 49ers, so he should be a big boost for the Birds in that area. Plus, he's also extremely athletic, and he flashed that many times before, and he also is coming off the best season of his career, where he actually had his biggest role in the league yet, where he started 5 games on defense, while also rotating in at times throughout the season as well, and he racked up 46 tackles, 1 sack, and an interception. Plus, Burks also flashed as a pass rusher in a smaller role, getting 8 pressures on just 19 pass rushing snaps, according to Anthony DeBona, so a small sample size for sure, but it is definitely promising. Now, again, Burks is no star, and the Eagles should not be relying on him in a huge role. The Niners fans aren't exactly too upset with him leaving because he got absolutely cooked in the Super Bowl once he went in for Dre Greenlaw, but he could still definitely be a guy that comes in situationally on defense, and he can be used in a number of different ways, and also I think he's going to be a big contributor on special teams, so I think this is a pretty good depth signing overall, but what do you guys think? Now, speaking of the Eagles additions at linebacker, the contract details just came out for Devin White, and they're pretty great, with the deal only having a base value of $4 million, with $3.5 million of that being guaranteed, plus he can earn up to $7.5 million in incentives, so you guys know that I am a bit skeptical of Devin White, and I broke down why in my last video, but there's a few things that I absolutely can't deny, and those are that 1, he is clearly an upgrade over anything the Eagles had at linebacker last year, there's no question about that. 2, he is also extremely athletic, and his ceiling is just so high. I mean, his resume obviously has to hold some weight of him being an All-Pro, a Pro Bowler, and a Super Bowl champion, and he's definitely a guy that's going to make some splash plays for you. And 3, his contract, especially with these numbers coming out, is of great value. So again, I do like the signing, and I love the value we got for him. I just don't quite buy into him being the superstar that solves all the Eagles' issues at linebacker is all. Which is why it seems like they're heavily considering bringing in one of the top inside linebackers, if not the top inside linebacker in the entire draft class this year, as there have been a handful of the Eagles' top 30 visits to be reported so far, and one of them is with Texas A&M's Edgerrin Cooper, who is an absolute playmaker at off-ball linebacker, racking up over 80 tackles in his last season there, and being a guy that just flies around, can lay a big hit, and is just consistently around the football. And the Eagles have been showing a lot of interest in him for a while now this offseason, with Jake Rabati reporting back in February that the Birds have shown a ton of interest in Cooper, and he actually met with Philly at the East-West Shrine Bowl, and then he followed that up with a combine interview with the Birds where he apparently was put through the ringer by Philly, and now he has a top 30 visit scheduled with the Eagles, making it clear that the Eagles are seriously considering drafting Cooper when the draft rolls around in April, as he at this point can probably be considered one of Howie's red star players. Now, they may have to do some maneuvering to actually land Cooper in the draft, as he's likely a late first to early second round pick, and the Eagles may not want to use their first round pick on a linebacker, or at least not as high as 22 where they're currently sitting at, so maybe they'd want to move down from that or move up with 2 of their seconds or a combination of their other draft picks to snag the playmaker from the Aggies. But safe to say, if they end up landing Cooper, I'd absolutely love it, and I'd feel a lot better about the Eagles in terms of the linebacker position, not just this year, but also moving forward into the future. Although, if we're being fully honest, I feel like it's probably unlikely that they take him in the first round, because it looks like they're leaning towards probably taking a lineman, as 5 of their 9 reported top 30 visits are with offensive linemen, with guys like Christian Mahogany, Cooper Beebe, Tyler Guyton, Brandon Coleman, and Zach Zinter all being reported as top 30 visits. So again, it seems like the Eagles are really leaning in that direction, and one of the names that we've heard a lot about is Tyler Guyton, who obviously played at Oklahoma, which is where Lane Johnson played his college ball at, and Lane has been a mentor to Guyton and someone that the draft prospect has really looked up to and is called a big brother figure. And Lane has also said that Guyton has some of the best athleticism in the draft, probably the best at his position, also combined with his size at 6'7" and 328 pounds, and he also called the kid a freakazoid, so I definitely would not be mad with this pick at all. But nonetheless, there's sure to be a lot of speculation leading into the draft next month, so if you don't want to miss any of that, we're going to cover it all here on this channel, so make sure you subscribe and really importantly turn on notifications. And I'm of course going to be covering the rest of free agency as well. Speaking of which, the Eagles definitely aren't done making moves yet, as they obviously already have done a lot in free agency, but if we know anything about Howie Roseman, it's not that only will he continue to make moves this month and early in free agency, but he also just always seems to find ways to add good players later into the offseason as well. And as of right now, a week into free agency, there's still some big names out there on the open market, and of course one of them is Justin Simmons, the star safety who was cut by the Broncos ahead of free agency. And Simmons, as we know, has been linked frequently to Philly, so it seems like there's a very real chance that he could end up playing in the city of brotherly love, although things have been relatively quiet recently regarding Simmons. But as Thomas R. Peterson pointed out on Twitter, that could be a good thing for the Birds, as he said, quote, "No news is good news for the Eagles regarding safety Justin Simmons. If he isn't getting the offers he expected, he may choose to join his favorite coach in Philly." And that's honestly a really good point. I mean, earlier in the offseason, we heard that the market for safeties wasn't going to be so great this free agency. Meanwhile, Simmons is obviously 30 years old, but he's also one of the biggest stars at that position in the league, so he probably is going to try and get paid at least a decent contract one last time, and him not signing with the team a week in free agency probably means that he's not getting the type of offers that he wants, so that could maybe force him to take a one-year prove-it deal for a lower value. And if he's going to do that, what better team to do it with than the Eagles, who not only have a lot of talent on defense now, but they also have a defensive coordinator who Simmons has had a lot of success under in Vic Fangio. So I don't know, it really does seem to me like Simmons to Philly could actually happen, although to be fair, this is just speculation, so what do you guys think about this? Now moving on, we also got some awesome new training footage of Jalen Hurts this offseason, as I think we all knew that Hurts was kind of playing hurt for the majority of the season last year, with that left knee being something that really bothered him from early in the season throughout the rest of the year, and we saw it really affect him and his game. I mean, he didn't look nearly as explosive as a runner this year as he has in past seasons, so his mobility and in turn his overall game was really affected, because we know that his ability to run is a huge part of how he plays, and it's one of the things that makes him so hard to stop. But now, with this new training video, Hurts is looking healthy, he looks springy, and it doesn't look like that knee is bothering him anymore, so that's a great thing, and hopefully he's able to get back to his fully mobile self next season. And if he can, then the whole offense is definitely going to benefit from it, including DeVonta Smith. Speaking of which, there is one highly anticipated move that the Eagles have yet to make this offseason that is absolutely going to be crucial for them, and that's DeVonta Smith's extension. I and many other Eagles fans thought that this should have been one of the Eagles' main priorities or first moves of the offseason, because wrapping up Smitty for the long term is something that they just absolutely have to do. Now, at this point, it hasn't happened yet. The Eagles instead opted to extend Landon Dickerson first, which I'm definitely not mad at that. Dickerson's going to be a crucial part of this team for a very, very long time, but there's no doubt that the Smitty extension also is super, super important, and it just has to happen soon, and it still is definitely on the Eagles' list of priorities. I mean, Howie Roseman was even asked about this at the Combine, and he pretty much confirmed that him and the Eagles were working to get this done.
Well, DeVante is an incredible person, an incredible player, obviously homegrown, young guy. Without getting into specifics, those aren't guys that you really want to leave.
So, I mean, you heard him there. Just based off that, all the speculation, and also the obvious fact that Smitty has been insanely good to start his career and he's become a leader, there's no doubt in my mind that a Smitty extension is coming, and it's coming soon. It's just a matter of when, and the smart answer for the Eagles would probably be as soon as possible, because the longer they wait, the higher the price tag is going to get for DeVante, because very similarly to Jalen Hurts last year, there's a lot of other players that play the same position as Smitty that are due extensions this offseason, and that includes Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and CeeDee Lamb, so those guys are going to start getting paid soon, and they could reset the market and drive the price tag for DeVante even higher than it is right now, and right now it's being projected that he's worth around $25 million a season on a new extension, but if the Eagles were to wait and then some of these other guys got extended, that number could get even higher. So I say, Howie, get that Smitty extension done as soon as possible. That'd be fantastic. But now, speaking of the Eagles wide receiver room, it seems like they're set to lose a guy who's been there for the past 4 years, and that's Quez Watkins, as the speedy but also drop-prone and disappointing wideout is a free agent, and he apparently is drawing interest from other teams, with the most prominent report being from Barry Jackson, who covers the Dolphins and other Florida teams, as he said that the Dolphins have interest in signing Watkins in free agency, while he's expected to not return to the Eagles. and that would definitely make sense because the Dolphins love guys with speed, and Watkins certainly has that. So I don't know, maybe he'd be a good fit there. It's just that the guy can't seem to catch the football and get out of his own way. I mean, I was personally willing to give Watkins a second chance after the 2022 season, as he seemed hungry for redemption, as he made several statements in the offseason saying he was going to prove people wrong, but turns out that was just all talk, as he was so disappointing this past year. He couldn't stay on the field, and when he was on it, he just didn't do anything. So it's clearly time to move on. So I guess best of luck to Quez wherever he lands, but things just clearly didn't work out here in Philly. Now I'm going to be covering the Eagles throughout the entire offseason, whether that be the rest of free agency, the draft, or everything else. So if you don't want to miss any of that, make sure you subscribe, and also really importantly, turn on those notifications so you don't miss when any videos just like this are uploaded. And also, while you're at it, make sure you drop a like to show some support. I'd greatly appreciate it. And also leave a comment down below just regarding anything that I talked about in this video. And also, if you want to watch another video going over how the Eagles restructured Josh Sweat's contract and also a lot of other free agency news, you can check this out right here. And now with all that being said, that's pretty much all I got for this one, guys. So thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.